I just learned to talk. I vowed to make women crazy for me in this life. But I didn't expect to be conquered by my appearance first. It turned out to be my old mother this day. My mother asked my father to help bring the child. As a result, my father taught me to dance and learn to fight. As for my mother, every time I see her, she will be hot because in their eyes I'm still a good boy who doesn't know how to walk. My mother will take me to Ashbow Street every week. Because I like the magic props here. I can also see the brilliant magic. Because my father is a magic warrior. My mother thought I would want to be an adventurer in the future. And this night was my first escape from the baby bed. It's an hour away from my mother's visit. While my mother was still in the kitchen, I sneaked into the study room, gently pushed open the door and peeped a glance. Very good, Dad really made a study room as a decoration. So this study room became the intellectual hall where I stayed every night. I found that the reason why this world is so backward it's because the people here only worship magic. Although I'm a year old, I still don't understand the words of this world. Fortunately, I can understand the patterns in the book. There are only one person in the average 100 people in this world who has magic. They are divided into two sections. One is a long-distance sorcerer, one is a skilled magic warrior. So I started trying to imitate the movements in the book. I didn't expect to try it. For the first time I sensed the magic pieces in the air. I'm such a genius. But at this time, a pair of hands held me up. I was still looking for an excuse. There was a sudden hot flow in the fart. Just sensed that the magic was too focused. I called my mother a few times to get rid of the doubts. After all, who would suspect a child with no milk? But as time passed, every time I sneaked into the study, it became a problem for my mother. She even wanted to put the baby bed in the study. But then I thought I was too young. Let's talk about it later. 2 years passed. My mother taught me the simple 10 words. So my day's fun. Just lying next to the window to watch my father practice dance. My father's shoulders are very thick, but he's always confused, confidently playing around in front of me every day. I just saw his hands push forward, recite the next thing that seemed to be going to be an incredible magic. I turned my head and stared at him at the same time. The 10 pieces of grass vibrated slightly. The 10 pieces were attracted to the air by the magic power. I just saw my father yell. The next second the 10 pieces all fell down and moved 1 centimeter forward. This is simply the worst magic I've ever seen. My father confidently pointed his thumb at me. I feel ashamed to stick my face to one side. That's it, it's better to throw it directly with your hand at this time. My mother walked up to me. Look at my father with a gentle look. My father immediately got a sense of propriety compared to the past. Every time the fist is close to power, this kind of skill is not poor. This is the real strength of my father. I started to wonder, when I show my power and heart, what kind of training route am I suitable for? Just when I was about to quietly get off the chair, I was suddenly flustered. With a mature heart, I was a jade horse to kill the enemy. Why are you suddenly afraid? The fear in my heart made me become careful just when I was about to get off the chair, but the mother in front of me noticed. He saw me with my eyes closed. He thought I was sleepy and wanted to sleep. He immediately hugged me and walked to the bedroom, and when we passed the study room, I said a few words of common sense. Mom, Uncle. My mother told me to go to bed. I had to use the killer. I pushed the shoulder of my mother's throat. I prayed with both hands at the age of 3. Mom, please, Uncle. My mother had to be conquered by my 24K cute face. He held me in his heart and struggled with the devil for a while. In the end, he allowed me to play in the study for a while. I was in my heart. Who made me know how to use all the weapons that can be used flexibly. Seeing that I like drawing so much, my mother was so happy that ordinary 3-year-old children would only want to play in their hearts. In this time, there was a sudden rumor in the yard. My mother asked me to stay with her all the time. I immediately sat down and started training. After 2.5 years of training, I not only found tens of thousands of magic pieces in my body, I also gathered them all to the chest. Because the pieces move very slowly, so most of the children will only grow up to generate the legal core, but now it looks like I'm going to be successful soon. I should just integrate the last shard. The legal core can be completed, and my mother came to the yard to find out. It turned out that my father accidentally broke a tree. However, when I integrated the last piece of legal shard, the whole house was suddenly lit by the fire. The violent explosion was like a beast's roar. The explosion was extremely terrible. Fortunately, my father caught my mother in time and blocked all the impacts with his back. When the explosion was over, they reacted. I've never forgotten my mother's eyes. Yoxi is still in there. My father heard the news and looked like a dead man. He didn't care about anything and rushed to the house full of fire. When he tried his best to break open the original study door, he suddenly leapt back a step. The next second, his legs were still on the ground. He laughed like that, but the smile was filled with an unbearable joy. That's right, I succeeded. I succeeded in gathering the core of the law at the age of 3, and the biggest change in the core of the law is, although I am in the study, but I can see the tree in the yard directly. And when I saw a wolf-like house, I got angry. Which of my descendants blew up my house? I take back what I just said. Although the house was blown up, but I've been ahead of other children for 10 years. It's even become a doll in the neighbor's mouth. So in the past 6 months, my mother is in charge of teaching me to read and write. My father is in charge of my physical training. I've already started my inner circle. At the age of 3, run 10 kilometers a day, 100 sit UPS, 100 push UPS. This is my one-day meal. I'm very grateful for this experience because in the near future this power saved my life. On my birthday, my father encouraged me. He made me a piece of wood by hand, so I learned magic theory by myself in the morning. In the afternoon, I practiced archery with my father. I won the chess game directly. He told me that the sword must be consistent with breathing. Take the sword as a part of the heart. I looked at my father with a blank eye. Such a complicated teaching. Did the detectives tell the 4-year-old child? So I decided to play a trick on my father. I was the king of the country in the last time. The archery is even more unrivaled. Who told my father not to treat me as an opponent at all? So I tried my best to break the sword. Obviously, I can't do anything with my small body, but with the experience of the last doctor my attack is getting more and more sensitive. My father had to resist faster. I know it won't do me any good if I keep going. So I close my eyes and adjust the rhythm of my breathing. Then concentrate my energy on the part of the body, finally find the flaw in my father's appearance. That's right, it's now. The timing is right. I did my best at this moment. As a result, my father's wooden stick was broken by me. My wooden stick was knocked down by the counterattack. My father is very suspicious of this. My son is definitely a genius. So I said goodbye to my father and went back to the room to meditate. It turns out that in this world, power can be judged by the color of the power and the heart, and meditation can remove impurities in the body. So the power and the heart will change with time. From the original black to pure red, orange, yellow, silver, until the strongest is white. Each color is divided into 3 stages of dark, long and light. The lighter the color, the stronger the heart. Seeing that I was only 3 years old, I was already gifted. Parents also started to worry about my education, because my father thought that his teaching was wasting my talent. But my mother didn't want the child to leave home too far. So the pressure was all released on me. My father turned to the 4-year-old and asked, Yahi, tell me what you think. Do you want to go to the big city to find a more professional teacher to study? I was stunned. What kind of strange family is this? Can a 4-year-old child really decide such a big thing? So I made a suggestion. Why don't my parents go to see the teacher with me? The couple looked at each other. I panicked for a moment. Is my kiss not like a child, or did I say something wrong? Mother smiled first. Why didn't we think of this idea? My father patted the table. Since that's the case, we'll be leaving next week. But because of my parents' friends, the Tevis battalion is also going to Saros. So the time is early tomorrow. After all, in this world it's also dangerous to drive. It is said that there are 2 curators in this organization and 3 fortifiers. The next morning, we arrived at the scheduled location. I can see that these people and my father are very good. My father introduced me to you. Yahi, let me introduce myself. I naturally used royal etiquette when I was 3 years old. Trancy touched my head. Little guy, you are very polite. The next second, I was pulled by a pair of delicate palms. Aunt Angela held me tightly in her arms. So I almost suffocated. Then I was hugged by a pair of stable hands. This man is nearly 3 meters tall. He put me on the ground in peace. His wide hands make people feel at ease. Give people a sense of honesty. At this time, a tall and cold sister was staring at me so coldly. She just nodded at me for a moment. And the last member of the organization is this archer, Helen Yard. Sister, we get on the dragon car and move forward in the direction of Saros. This is also the first time I have seen the vastness of the world. Although the evening sun is red all over the sky, but this also means the danger of the night. I'm trying to force it in, but the Tevis troops are very strong. Almost all the security work is covered. The deep forest fire is something I've never touched in my life, causing me to be a little uncomfortable. Seeing that I can't lift it cleanly, Trancy stood up and said to Yahi, why don't you come to me before you go to bed to stretch your body? I think the ants are happy. But Trancy picked it up. In the past, it was difficult for a 4-year-old like me to climb the stairs. And in this world, it seems to be a very normal thing to fight with the child. I let go of my arms and prepared to fight, but I was in a good position to attack. Little genius, do you know how to strengthen your weapon? The next second, a tiger-like shadow appeared behind Trancy. Is it really necessary to bully the child like this? Everyone's eyes are focused on me. I used my eyes to send a signal to my father to ask for